Today, we're going to demonstrate the Advice Cable Tester, ACT128SA, and the ACT128SAT. The only difference between the two is the placement of the screen. The SAT has a screen on the top. The box design is simple and allows you to test for shorts and miswires. It also has a function called peek and poke to aid in cable assembly. This is intended for non-powered cables or cables without electronics, so be careful what you plug in. There is a place to put two 64-pin adapter cards, slot A and B, a 7-inch touchscreen display. On the top, we have a power connector, a power on and off button, and a USB connector. On the back, we have a battery door, which allows you to put in 8 AA cells, which makes this truly portable. First, connect the power and turn it on. The display will be active in about 30 seconds. The adapter page will display. This allows you to select the adapter boards and the connectors you want to examine. Select one connector for each side, A and B. Pick your adapter boards and snap them into place. All right, now let's set up on the screen for our boards. I'm using a mouse here so that I don't have my fingers all over the screen in front of you. Okay, first we're going to select the IDC 30 to 64 male adapter board and the IDC 64 male connector. Next, for side B, we're going to select the IDC 30 to 64 male and the connector that goes along with it. I have attached a 64-pin female-to-female IDC connector. The next thing you're going to need is a reference. Now at this point you have two choices. Either load a previously saved cable, or we'll save this one as our golden cable. What we're going to do here is learn this as our golden cable. Now we've already got our mode set up as learn reference. We're simply going to press learn. The cable has now been saved. You notice that the red lights come on saying that we have a reference cable. Now the next thing we're going to want to do is see if this is what we want. So we look in the schematics, and we can see in the schematics that every pin's hooked up, and that is the cable we want. We can also look at the wire list, and this is going to give us a pin-for-pin connection from side A to side B. There's a pin list. There's also a net list. We now have a reference cable. Okay, now let's move forward and let's go ahead and test this cable. We have a reference, we know it's good. It's all set up in here. So what we do is we come down here and change this to single mode. Tell it to start. And it learns the cable. It shows you any inconsistencies in the net list here. You can look in the schematics, and it'll show you the two cables side by side. Wire list will show you both cables side by side. Pin list, net list. And back to the compare page. Now notice on the compare page, it has a green 1 here saying that it passed that first test. Now other test modes are the auto, stop on failure, and auto continuous. I'm just going to use auto continuous. Stop on failure will stop when it finds a failure. So we start here, we hit start, and now it'll go in and keep testing until it gets a failure. Now we're going to make it have a failure. it back in. It starts passing again. And you can do that all day. One thing about cables is they will all eventually fail if you keep moving them around. So don't get too aggressive with these tests. Now we're done with the basic testing. I want to focus a little bit more on the buttons that are on the screen and what they can do. First, we're going to go down here to the info button. Now remember, we loaded that reference cable. Here's a place where you can actually put in the tester's name, the part number, a general comment, and when you go to save that into save reference, that gets saved along with it. So when you pull the cable back up using load reference, that information comes back. These are optional. Now let's move on to some of the advanced features. What we're going to do is look at the info page, and we have a user's manual, which gives you all the details about how it works. You look at the top bar, you press that, and it gives you your table of contents, so you can go in and look at anything you want as far as password manager or buttons or anything you want to do. Some clients have expressed a concern over security of the unit, so we have built in a password management system and a security system. The unit, when it comes, will come with a default login and password. So your first action will be to log into the password manager and set up your own credentials. You will need at least one manager so you can get back in. Then, when you're ready, you can edit and delete users. We're going to add a user. We're going to call him Bob. B-O-B. Enter. It's going to ask us for his role. Now we've got management, specialist, and technician. We're going to make Bob a management. That means Bob will be able to get into the adapter manager, the profile manager, and back into the password manager. So we just say accept. It's going to ask for a password. And this is as critical as you want to make it, but it can be as simple as you want to make it too. I'm just going to B-O-B. This is password. And we're going to put, it's going to ask for another password again. We're going to put in B-O-B. And we now have Bob as a manager, and he can log into any system on here. Now make sure you record your password somewhere. Some clients have said they wanted to view the action of the ACT128 on a bigger screen or from a remote location. This is accomplished by logging into your server and receiving a server address. The address will look like http://10.0.0.22, what we're logged into right now. On your PC, you will enter this address into the address line of your browser, and you will be prompted for a login. Even if you have turned security off, you will still need an admin login credentials to get in. Currently, this is for viewing operation only. Some browsers automatically attach HTTPS to the address. This may cause problems, and you may need a different browser. Now, the other feature on the info page is the volume control. Most people turn this off, but if you like to hear the ding, 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 you can turn it on. Moving to the adapters button, you have several options. Import files will import any adapter or poke files that are currently on your USB. Next, we're going to look at peak mode. This feature helps in the construction of cables. I've already changed adapter cards, and I have a DB9 on here with wires attached, so we can look at those individual wires. It's attached to pin 3, 7, and 9. We set the mode to peak, and we're going to have to change our adapter board. This is a COM M board. Whoops. COM-M and the DB9. And at that point, all we have to do is press start. Now what this will do is show you what wire is hooked to the other end. So this is going to show you that's pin 9, that's pin 7, oops, and that's pin 3. We're touching it to the probe pin. Not all boards have a probe pin, but you can use any probe pin in a system. You can also get all 3 connections on that pin at the same time if you want to. You can handle more than one pin. Now that comes really in handy if you're building a cable, a point-to-point cable, and you just want to know where the wire came from and you just want to plug it in. Poke is like peek, except the pin information is run through a database that you set up called a poke file. This allows you to designate crossover configurations between connectors without having to look back at wiring diagrams. You will designate any pin on the adapter board to whatever you want it to go to on the to-be-poked end. You will need password authorization to enter the Poke File Manager if security is enabled. Again, poke is like peek, but allows you to define where any wire should be poked into on the other connector. For instance, DB9 pin 1 to a DB25 pin 6. You can also use 2 adapter cards and build cables like 2 DB9s to a DB25, or consider a IDC 26 cable to a DB25. First, you'll need to go into the Poke File Manager, and you'll need to identify the adapter. In this case, it is the COM-M, the connector, the DB9, and you have to give it a name. We're going to call this Test 2. Enter. And you'll get a pin list at the bottom. So what we're going to do here, we're going to say, I know we got pins 3, 7, and 9 connected, so we're going to hook up to pin 3. We're going to tell him, hook him up to pin 4. So 3 is going to go to 4. 7, we're going to tell him to go to pin 8. Just to keep this simple. In 9, we're going to tell him to go to pin 1. So now we have our little database set up, our poke database, and we simply save it. Okay, next we need to go back to our adapter page, our COM-M, DB9, and we're going to select our profile. And we selected COM-Test 2. And at that point, we are ready. We hit start. And we got our 3 wires. The left side tells you what you're hooked up to. The right side tells you where you want to hook up to. So it's telling us we're connected to pin 3, peak, and tells us to hook up to pin 4. This wire tells us to pin 7 and tells us to poke into pin 8. And this one is telling us pin 9 and it's telling us to poke into pin 1. This comes in great if you're making a crossover cable and you don't want to have to go back and look at schematics over and over again. And that is pretty much poke mode. Go into the adapter manager. We can make a new adapter. Let's call it Test. Call it Test 1. Enter. And we're going to add a connector. We're going to call it a circular 10. I'm going to add a pin. Let's call it pin A. And pin A connects to pin 1. Add a pin. We're going to call this pin B. And we're going to say B hooks up to 2. And you go all the way down through here and you can put all your connections in. And this is how you set up a board, a new adapter board, especially one of the mill adapter boards. Like, for instance, this board is our mill 1, which allows you to wire in any connector into any slot. Something I mentioned earlier was the ability to have more than one unit. You can plug in an ACT128 PC into the USB port and have another 128 pins. And beyond that, you can plug in a hub and have multiple ACT128 PCs. So far, we've only hooked up 4 PCs, which would bring us up to 640 nodes. Now, it does slow down significantly, so you may want to not do that unless you have that need. Our adapter boards are best viewed on our website and gives you details as to each connector on there. But here's an overview of most of the boards that we have available. We cover everything from an XLRs, a DB9 through DB50, PC connectors, IDC all the way from 10 to 64, and USBs, including the USB-C, USB-C12, and USB-C24. Now, as mentioned, was the ACT128 PC is a PC-based tester that can be used to expand the ACT128SA or SAT. It can be plugged into a PC and you load our software onto it. It currently only works with Windows 11. Some people have problems in their facility because of security that they don't want to load our software onto their PCs. So in that case, that's why we built the SA. Just want to take a brief second to say thank you for watching. If you need more details, visit our website or contact Advanced IC Engineering. Goodbye.